News throughout the decades.
Hello, Americans in Bath and Wellsville and Hornell. This is Paul Harvey. Stand by for news on AM 1480 WLEA.
We were urging to keep the children home today.
Yeah, we had a scare this morning with a 9-year-old boy, and cruising the city, there are an awful lot of children out playing in the water and playing near the bridges. I just saw a little child down on the arterial bridge, and he's fooling around that bridge, and I said to Captain Coogan and Chief Rose that if someone doesn't, take the fun out of this thing for the kids and keep them safe, I'm afraid we're going to lose one or two, because while the situation is improving, it's still a dangerous situation, especially around these bridges.
That's the next question I got for you, Andy. We had a report East Van Scooter Street Bridge was bad.
East Van Scooter Street Bridge is, we've got about a foot and a half clearance there, and the water is flowing. It's taking the sidewalk and some of the blacktop approaching the bridge, but the bridge is from a structural condition, is in good shape. Unless we get some large trees or limbs to block that, there's no immediate danger. The bridge has been roped off, and the situation in that particular area, the nursing home, patients are safe.
You were thinking of evacuating the nursing home, am I correct?
Yes, that's true, but
they changed their mind.
They changed their mind.
Okay.
They apparently have no real problem down there at the moment.
All right.
So the one thing, it's a small thing, but it's an important thing, that if residents have a catch basin in front of their house, if they've got a sewer drop inlet, they just clean that off so that the water can flow freely. It would help the situation on the streets.
All right. Now, Andy, how about the other bridges in Hornell? One is gone, I understand.
Not in the city. I don't know of any bridge in the city that's gone.
Let's see what the report was.
Hart
Street Bridge.
Hart Street, right. Hart Street Bridge, but the main traffic, the main bridges are all in good shape.
Hart Street Bridge is gone?
To my knowledge, yes, it is.
Okay. The other bridges you think are going to hold?
Yep.
What about Crosby Creek? You were sandbagging there?
We're not sandbagging now.
All right. Were you at one point?
No.
Okay.
No. We have men filling sandbags.
And your host is Kevin Doran. And our guest this morning is someone that many of us know very well, Gene Burns. Gene started in radio, I believe, in Hornell at what was then the radio station known as WWHG, went on to work in Bath for many years, and then on to greater things, and currently is a talk show host at a very popular one in Orlando, Florida. But that's not why we have Gene Burns on the air with us this morning. Gene is also running for President of the United States on the Libertarian Party, and we want to talk about his candidacy and some of the positions he's taking. But first of all, we'll welcome you back to your hometown. Well, I guess it isn't your hometown, is it, Gene, but you grew up here.
Well, I grew up there. We graduated 25 years ago this year from Hornell High School on the occasion of my mother's 25th anniversary, so when we come back in June for the alumni banquet, it'll be her 50th anniversary and my 25th.
Well, congratulations to both of you. And I know a lot of your friends have called the station, eager to hear you on the radio, and even more eager to see you when you come back in June. Let's talk about your candidacy for president. First of all, it occurs to me that if you do declare yourself a candidate for president, doesn't that automatically cost you your job?
Well, it doesn't automatically. It causes a few problems. As you know, the Federal Communications Commission requirement is that equal time be given candidates for the same office. Well, at the moment, I am a candidate for the Libertarian Party presidential nomination. So if you construe the language, I think, narrowly, any other candidate for the Libertarian Party presidential nomination would have a claim on some equal time. There are no other candidates for the Libertarian Party presidential nomination, so we don't feel that's a problem. And even if there were, having a talk show in Orlando would only allow them to be speaking to the Libertarians of Florida.
Hey, how would you like to win an Atari video computer or a new Kodak disc camera? Well, they'll be given away to lucky winners right here in Hornell. Just register today at the Stationery Center on Main Street, the site of the gigantic red tag sale. The $200 Atari video computer and the $67.95 Kodak disc camera will be given away in Hornell. And you'll find the sale prices at the Stationery Center just as exciting as those prizes. Basic office supplies all on sale. From pens to files, even office furniture, paper clips to fans, staplers to chairs. In fact, lots of things that you would like for your home, all on sale during the Red Tag sale. But the sale ends April 16th, so hurry in today to the Stationery Center. You won't be sorry, and you might win one of those fabulous prizes. Stationery Center, Main Street, downtown Hornell.
Well, Steve, it's back to you now in your master control room there.
All right, Francois has just arrived. His limousine pulled up outside. They're bringing in the equipment that he'll need here. He's brought his pots and pans and other things, and also an orchestra with him. and we'll be checking in with him right after we remind you that, especially ladies, if you'd like to get the look that gets you looks, look no further than the house of Mr. Lou on Seneca Street in Hornell. Lou Nasca shampoo and condition your hair, then precision cut it, blow dry it, so as your hair grows, it holds its shape. Of course, shampoos and cuts aren't the only services the house of Mr. Lou offers. Male or female, Lou Nasca's the man to see for a fresh, long-lasting, permanent hair coloring, or maybe a stylish set for a special event. Expert hair care is as near as your phone. Just call Lou at 324-0881. If Lou doesn't answer immediately, well, you let it ring a couple more times. He's out sweeping the sidewalk or taking care of some other business. Like we've said before, publicity builds a name, but it's good work that builds a reputation, and Lou Nasca has a reputation. A reputation for expert hair care for men, women, and children. The house of Mr. Lou on Seneca Street in Hornell. 324-0881 is the number. Well, there's that orchestra.
The Senate Republicans drew their chamber's district lines without Democratic input, and the Assembly Democrats did the same in their chamber without Republican input. And those proposals are complete, although there are expected court challenges. But in order to draw the congressional lines, Democrats and Republicans have to achieve a compromise with each other.
And so what do? Do you eliminate one Republican and one Democrat to get that compromise? You're certainly not going to eliminate two Republicans, and you're certainly not going to eliminate two Democrats. Or do you take two Democrats, put them together in the same seat, let them fight it out, two Republicans, let them fight it out, or do you put a Republican and a Democrat together in each one of two seats? Okay? That's the decision that really hasn't been made at this point. There have been really no negotiations, but those are kind of the options that are available.
That's Republican State Senator Randy Kuhl, who says there have been no recent meetings on the issue, and he doesn't foresee any for a period of weeks. Meanwhile, Republican Assemblyman Jim Bacalus is saying the Assembly redistricting plan as proposed won't survive. The state constitution allows a 5% deviation in population from district to district, but he says the plan goes beyond that as Democrats seek to shift seats to New York City.
Our main gripe about this plan is that they've really kind of made because of the plus or minus 5%, they've made the city representatives represent fewer people and created more seats in the city of New York. So now they're proposing to have 65. You only need 76 votes to pass something.
The present ratio in the Assembly is 53 Republicans, 96 Democrats. One seat is vacant. That was held by a Democrat who died. The whole matter must be largely fixed by June when candidates begin circulating petitions to get on the ballot. This is Steve Gregory.
37 degrees, the weather outlook. Chance of showers today. I'm Joy Gilmore with the latest news from Wlea. More than 250 people turned out at a meeting of the Town Board of Bath last night to oppose the town's full-value property assessment. Town and County Supervisor Bill Tobin said the board took no action on rejecting the assessment figures as requested by the crowd, but agreed to set up a special meeting on the issue. Tobin gathered names of those who wanted informal hearings with the county's full-value contractor, Finnegan and Associates, and added that many complaints would be settled at the hearings. The Steuben County Taxpayers Association gathers tonight at the Hornell High School. Plans for what is termed an 8-year assessment program and holding taxpayers' money in an escrow account will be discussed. The meeting will be held at the Hornell High School conference room at 7:30. More news after this.
Come to the Expo 83, coming your way Friday, Saturday, and Sunday at the Armory on Seneca Street. Yes, come to the Expo with over 40 exhibitors and lots of fun for the entire family. Lots of bargains, too. This year we have many new items in the expo. For example, you've been hearing a lot about the new ways to receive TV via satellite right in your home. We'll have a display. In fact, lots of new scientific displays this year. The latest computers for the home and the office. We even have that computerized sewing machine returning this year. And for the first time in Expo, we have many boutique items, including beautiful glass collectibles. Again this year, horse and buggy rides around town and pony rides at the Expo itself. Expo 83, free to the public. Bring the family to Expo 83, Friday 6 till 10, Saturday 9 till 9, Sunday noon till 6 at the Hornell Armory on Seneca Street. Expo 83, don't miss it.
Governor Cuomo and Chemung County are fighting in court over the appointment of an acting sheriff. Cuomo yesterday obtained a temporary restraining order to prevent the county from replacing Sheriff Patrick Patterson. Patterson was elected last November, but is resigning next week to take a job with the FBI. The county claims its charter gives it the power to make the appointment. Cuomo said county law gives those powers only to the governor. Next news at 10 o'clock. If you see news happen, call the WLEA News Hotline, 324-1480.
This is WLEA Hornell, 1130. And now a special report from WLEA News, and here is WLEA News Director Joy Gilmore.
Thank you, Glenn. The State Health Department has decided to close Bethesda Community Hospital in North Hornell for 60 days. The State Health Department has been investigating an error in administering medicine to an elderly patient in the intensive care unit in June. The patient, 81-year-old Mildred Labor of Arkport, died June 27th of acute pancreatitis. 2 nurses were suspended from their jobs at Bethesda after the incident. State Health Department spokesman Peter Slocum made the announcement to close the hospital this morning.
The health department today served an order on the hospital requiring them to close entirely for a period of 60 days because of the imminent danger to the health and welfare of patients that we have determined exists at the facility. The hospital has a right to request a hearing to contest that order from the commissioner, but the reason the commissioner acted is because our investigation of a medication error last month uncovered something like 120 other medication errors that occurred at that hospital in the first half of this year, and he feels that there is literally an imminent danger under the public health law.
Slocum said the restraining order issued this morning does not mean the hospital will reopen automatically in 60 days. There will be a hearing.
There is a hearing in process. There will be a hearing on the charges which we will conduct before an administrative law judge, and that could lead, if we prove the charges to the commissioner's satisfaction, it could lead to a decision to revoke the operating certificate permanently and close the hospital.
And Slocum said the investigation revealed that the medication error may have been linked to the death of Mildred Labor.
We believe that it may well have contributed to that patient's death. We don't know that as a matter of certainty, and as far as we're concerned, it is not essential to prove that in order for us to be concerned about the care level at the hospital. Our point is that patients there now and patients who might come in the future may be at risk because of the staff's inability to deal effectively with these kinds of situations.
Slocum says patients and families of patients should not panic. The hospital is responsible for an orderly transfer.
There are plenty of beds in nearby hospitals to take those patients at Bethesda who need to be transferred to other hospitals, or then obviously many people can go home if they're waiting other kinds of care. The hospital is responsible for making those contacts and assuring that the medicines and records and everything go with each patient. We will be there monitoring around the clock to make sure things are handled in an orderly way.
The restraining order is effective at 7 o'clock tomorrow morning, when all admissions at Bethesda Community Hospital in North Hornell will cease for 60 days. We will have more on this story throughout the day. This has been a special report from WLEA News.
Today is Election Day in Israel, with Prime Minister Yitzhak Shamir and his Likud party versus former Prime Minister Rabin and his Labor Party. Let's find out what the exit polls indicate. ABC's Peter Allen Frost in Tel Aviv.
Israel Television called it a political revolution. An exit poll conducted for the television showed the Israeli Labor Party had gained 47 of the 120 seats in parliament, an increase of 8 seats. The ruling Likud party under Yitzhak Shamir dropped 7 seats to 33. According to the projection by Israel Television, the Labor Party should be able to form a government with little difficulty. Official results will start coming in during the night and will be published next week. But the coalition negotiations have already begun. Peter Allen Frost, ABC News, Tel Aviv.
An ominous turn in South Africa. The African National Congress has announced it's suspending all political talks with a white minority government. Mob boss John Gotti's been sentenced to life in prison, and some New Yorkers don't like that.
What do we want the judge? What do we want the judge?
Hundreds of Gotti supporters staged a rally outside the courthouse in Brooklyn today. This man said he's a friend of Gotti.
John Gotti got a raw deal. And I'm an American citizen, and I voice my opinion when I see something wrong. And it's wrong, because if your name ends in a vowel, you get what's not coming to you. And that's wrong.
Some of the demonstrators got out of hand. A car was turned over, windows were smashed, several people arrested. John Gotti was convicted back in April of murder and racketeering. Libya's parliament's offering to allow 2 men wanted in connection with the bombing of Pan Am Flight 103 to be tried by what it calls a fair and just court under UN or Arab League auspices. That was announced on Libyan television. Scientists say a review of nearly 30 years' worth of research on oat bran shows that eating one big bowl of oat bran cereal every morning can cut modestly cholesterol. That study was partially paid for by the Quaker Oats Company. NASA engineers checking out 2 unexplained electronic problems on board the shuttle Columbia, which could delay Thursday's scheduled launch. On Wall Street, the Dow Jones is up 8 points at 3289. This is ABC News.
We've been informed. Summer has been given one less day on the calendar this year. For one afternoon, all tree climbing will be canceled. Kite flying postponed. And one less day to enjoy the good old-fashioned taste and natural lemon flavor of Country Time lemonade-flavored drink mix. So today, all 86,400 seconds, we hope you'll make up for lost time. Country Time. Take time for summer's pleasures.
For the ABC Information Network, I'm Doug Limerick.
And I'm Jonathan Mark, continuing with news on WLEA. It's 4:05. The temperature is 68. Steuben County legislators failed to muster a 2/3 majority yesterday to approve a new $13.2 million 200-bed county jail. The vote was 11-5. Legislators will vote once again July 20th, one day before the county's variance on the jail ends. If the county has to house prisoners outside the county, it would cost up to $1 million per year. Voting against the proposal were Richard Argentieri, John Clifford, Melford Drake, John Malter, and Gary Swackhammer. Swackhammer says the proposal is too expensive.
They're looking at a 200-bed jail, and I'm against that. And they're also looking at 5,000 to 10,000 square feet to office other sheriff's department and possibly probation and some other possibilities. And central dispatch and so on, which we already have a central dispatch in the existing building, new county office building, which is not being used. And the whole package is just too expensive for Steuben County.
In other action, legislators passed a resolution asking the governor and the state legislature to support legislation allowing the state to assume the full cost of Medicaid. Latest figures indicate Medicaid costs for the county will increase anywhere from $2.5 to $3.5 million over the next 2 years. The Canisteo Board of Education holds its annual meeting this evening at 7 o'clock in the high school auditorium. And on Wednesday, tomorrow, voters there will decide the $7.2 million budget with a tax levy of $1.8 million. Voters will also choose one candidate for a 3-year term on the school board. Running are Scott Teller, Lynn Freeland, and James Roby. Polls will be open from 10 till 8. Everyone is invited to an open house tomorrow at the new pool in James Street Park in Hornell. The open house will follow the official opening ceremonies at 5 o'clock. State officials will be there, and Hornell Mayor Sean Hogan says it's a project the entire city can be proud of. The pool opens officially on Thursday. The Common Council has approved a 10-cent admission charge to the pool to be set aside in a trust fund to cover expenses. Hogan says the 10-cent charge is not a revenue raiser but a gesture and a lesson in fiscal responsibility for young people. Lieutenant Governor Stan Lundeen says there needs to be a fundamental change in the state's youth education. A governor's task force headed by Lundeen recommends students should have work experience included in the school curriculum for a high school diploma. Any action accepted from the task force must first receive legislative approval and the go-ahead from the State Board of Regents. The State School Boards Association, however, opposes those recommendations. It's 8 minutes after 4 o'clock. The temperature is 66.
Listen to you. WLEA, Hornell, New York. From ABC News, I'm Joe Templeton. It's believed as many as 1.3 million voters may go to the polls today in Chicago to pick their next mayor. They'll make their choice between Democrat Harold Washington, who is black, and Republican Bernard Epton. More from ABC's Jerry King in Chicago.
As one veteran columnist tells me, the campaign is over, but the memory lingers on. The campaign has been one of the most bitter, the most divisive ever seen here in Chicago. There have been charges of racism on both sides and gutter politics. Somehow, whoever wins today will have to placate the supporters of whomever loses. That's considered a difficult task, but the process may have already started last night. In a rare two-way discussion on ABC's WLS-TV here, both agreed on the need for cooperation. Washington invited Epton to breakfast tomorrow morning after it's all over, and Epton agreed to pay for it. Jerry King, ABC News, Chicago.
It's clear there's a lot of interest in this race. Officials say absentee balloting has been running at twice the pace of Chicago's last mayoral election. If Washington wins, he would become Chicago's first black mayor. I'll have more after this.
Budgets are tight these days, and nobody wants to spend more than they have to for car insurance. It's a good time to check with State Farm. Get together with a State Farm agent. Get a price from the auto insurer who's famous for low rates. And don't forget, that low price buys the great service your State Farm agent is famous for. Get real value for your car insurance dollar. Check with State Farm.
And like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Oh, Mr. Pitney. Yes, Mr. Bowles. Oh, Mr. Pitney. Yes, Mr. Bowles. Do people know our copiers far and wide? Yes, the name of Pitney Bowles is one everybody knows. Absolutely, Mr. Pitney. Positively, Mr. Bowles.
Yes, Pitney Bowes has a complete line of office copiers, from an economical desktop model for the smallest business to full-feature consoles for the biggest. To find out more about our copiers, just look under Pitney Bowes in your phone book.
Absolutely, Mr. Pitney. Positively, Mr. Bowles.
If you went to sleep before the major Oscars were handed out last night in Hollywood, the movie Gandhi picked up 8 awards, including Best Picture, Best Actor Ben Kingsley, and Best Director Richard Attenborough. Meryl Streep was named Best Actress for Sophie's Choice. Jessica Lange and Lou Gossett won Oscars for supporting roles. And by the way, Lou Gossett has agreed to take the role of the late Egyptian President Anwar Sadat in a 4-hour TV miniseries based on Sadat's autobiography. Polish Labor leader Lech Wałęsa says he's met with some of the underground leaders of the Solidarity movement. First time he's publicly avowed doing so since he was released from custody in November. The Senate today begins debating the nomination of Kenneth Edelman to head the Arms Control and Disarmament Agency. A vote is scheduled for Thursday. President Reagan meets today with Democratic congressmen. The president's trying to gain support for either changing or killing a nuclear freeze resolution to be taken up tomorrow in the House. Well, Mr. Reagan meets about an hour from now with the Sultan of Oman. He'll be talking with the Persian Gulf ruler about the possibilities for some comprehensive peace plan in the Middle East. More rain expected to move into the south in the next day or so, but it's not expected to cause a lot of new flooding in Mississippi and Louisiana. It looks like the worst is over there. In Hartville, Ohio, an auto products company with fewer than 100 new jobs got more than 12,000 applications yesterday. Some people parked in cars with license plates from across Ohio and West Virginia began lining up around the plant Sunday night. There was a fire in a 4-story apartment building just off Main Street in Kansas City last night. One woman died in the fire, several people injured. A Ralph Nader-backed health group wants the FDA to require warning notices on diet supplements, which contain large amounts of vitamin A. The Center for Science and the Public Interest says too much vitamin A can produce such symptoms as headaches, nausea, and joint pains.
Well, the dollar is turning in a mixed performance on European money markets so far this morning. Gold prices are said to be higher. And researchers at Cornell University have come up with a tearless onion, a new variety called the sweet sandwich onion, which can be peeled, cut, diced, and eaten without causing the cook to cry over his work. This is ABC News.
The Best Western Crown is your assurance of lodging convenience, comfort, and value. Before your next business or vacation trip, stop in at any Best Western hotel or motor inn for your free, full-color, 300-page road atlas and travel guide. Rest assured. Make reservations at any Best Western, see your travel agent, or call toll-free 1-800-528-1234. For the ABC Information Network, I'm Joe Templeton.
2 dangerous escapees from the Arkansas State Prison were apprehended shortly after 1 o'clock today, right here in Hornell. Now, here's the story as we understand it, pending a release from the police department. But I think we can go with this because we've checked it with several different sources, including some eyewitnesses. A chase began, perhaps in Allegheny County, but certainly west of here, when these 2 desperate men, Calvin Adams and Jeffrey Grinder, were spotted speeding. The state police gave chase. They were joined by other state police cars and local police. For some reason, these 2 desperados pulled into Hornell, where the chase continued, joined by local police officers. They finally had their car stopped. Apparently it crashed. They tried to flee on foot, only to be captured by officers Kate Gleason and Todd Giglio, along with a state police investigator. Now, Brian O'Neill went to the scene and talked with some people who actually witnessed part of these events. Brian?
At this point, neither Hornell police or state police have issued any official statements or reports about the escaped prisoners, but what we do know from 2 Hornell residents who saw the end of the chase is that the vehicle that the escaped Arkansas prisoners were in crashed on or around the corner of Maple Street and Cameron Avenue in Hornell. This woman describes what she saw.
I just saw a small car being chased by 4 police cars, and then they split up there by Friendly's. 3 police cars went on out like toward Walmart, and the other 2 cars went down Seneca Street. And when I got home, one of the guys got nailed right in my neighbor's backyard. Sawyer Street site.
That's a witness from Hornell who saw the tail end of the chase, and that's all the information, unofficial though it may be, that we have at this point. Kevin?
Calvin Adams and Jeffrey Grinder, the 2 escaped convicts, got out of the Arkansas prison by dressing as police officers or prison guards. That was last Friday night. A nationwide manhunt has been going on ever since. A spokeswoman for the prison said this afternoon that the men were actually in the same car that they used to escape from the prison, a car that was left there by someone to assist in the escape. Again, they were caught in Hornell shortly after 1 o'clock today by 2 Hornell police officers and 1 state police investigators. Many police giving chase after they were spotted speeding in Allegheny County.
Governor Elliot Spitzer has just announced his resignation.
In the past few days, I've begun to atone for my private failings with my wife, Soda, my children, and my entire family.
St. James Hospital in Hornell has announced that they're going to be reducing hours and wages of some of their workers. According to hospital officials, salaried employees will be getting a 3% wage decrease. St. James Vice President of Human Resources, Brenda Sobeck, says that shortening the workday and implementing a wage reduction is a viable alternative to implementing a hospital-wide workforce reduction. State Senator Kathy Young continues to criticize the labor bill, which Senator Young maintains, if passed, would force many farmers out of business. According to Senator Young, the labor bill would drive up costs too high for farmers to be able to financially handle. Senator Young says that adding mandatory overtime pay after 8 hours, unemployment insurance, and workers' comp costs, as well as collective bargaining rights, would make farms unable to compete.
News throughout the decades.